Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Firefighters Chalkboard. And tonight we're going to cowboy up. We've got Heath Meredith on here from the Third Alarm Cowboys with us, and we're going to see just how calm we can keep Heath on here tonight to see if, and that way, because everybody's used to him being so wound up. But we're going to let them see the Heath a lot of people don't get to see, and that's the calm Heath that truly does love the fire service and really passionate about it. And so we're just going to have a really good time tonight, talk about some really good teaching points. Heath, how are you doing?
Doing good, Uncle Wayne, man. I appreciate you having me on. It's very cool. I haven't got to do a lot of other shows. I'm normally just doing my show, so it's always really exciting when I get the opportunity to come on and get to answer somebody else's questions instead of getting to be the one to ask questions. So I appreciate you having me on, man. I'm doing good.
Well, I'm glad you're here. And one thing that we try to do a little differently is I don't have the whole question thing because, when we were pre-gaming, the first thing you said was, well, what questions are you going to ask me? I said, I don't know. It depends on what you say. Because I really kind of like mine, is when I teach classes and stuff, one of the biggest things I say is the tailboard is one of our biggest classrooms. And we're not asking questions on the tailboard. We just have conversations. And that's what I really want out of the night. And so for everybody else that don't know who Heath is, let them know about Heath.
All right, man. Heath Meredith, been in the fire department over 17 years now. June was 17 years. I work in the Houston, Texas area. Basically, everything around our area is kind of weird. I work inside the city limits of Houston, but I work for an incorporated county department. So Houston grew too fast, too quick, and basically what that means is we do all the big city fire stuff that Houston does. We just do it all with tanker operations because we don't have the infrastructure. So I've been in this area for most of my career. I started off as a volunteer in Deep East Texas, which is where I live, out in the woods, and volunteered for about 6 years, combined with actually getting on career department and all that kind of good stuff. And I pretty much, man, I've rode from everything from rookie firefighter all the way up to right up battalion chief. I was a captain for a little over 8 years, almost 9 years. And then a few years ago decided to come to a department that had a better reputation, just a lot more to offer of what I was actually looking for myself and my family. And came here and started over and rookied again at 34 years old. And really it's been a hell of a journey for me. I'm a dad of five girls. I got stair-step girls from 18 all the way down to 3. I got 3 daughters that rodeo and a wife that rodeos. I got one daughter that's a star softball player. She actually is going to college on a full ride to play softball. And then I got my band nerd daughter, and then I've got the little terrorist that's basically just training to screw up the whole world. So, man, we just really busy guy doing a bunch of different stuff. Got the Third Alarm Cowboys that we founded a couple of years ago, and honestly, we started that as just trying to be a voice for the guys, my local guys, dealing with a lot of bad leadership. Just all in all the horror stories that you can imagine happen in this area because most people don't know, but basically you got city of Houston and then you have some other city departments around, but everywhere else is county departments that in the last 15 years went from being funded with fish fries and barbecues, mom and pop type volunteer departments, to now they're 4 and 5 station city departments with full staffing, ladder trucks, 16 to $20 million budgets, all happened in the last 15 years. And so with that came a ton of growing pains. And sadly, I went through most of the growing pains. So, I started off trying to be just a voice for the guys with this movement, and the podcast is really where we started. And then it just turned into everything we got going on now, where we're traveling all across the country teaching, getting, we got grant funded here in Texas, teaching our engine ops course here in Texas. So it just literally in the last 3 years has blown up and became all this crazy stuff that most people, can't even imagine. So very proud of all that. I'm proud of my guys, the guys that I have on with me that travel all across the country and are, my instructors and whatnot. And that's basically me in a nutshell, man. Just wide ass open. That's me.
So one thing I was thinking about doing is rolling back a little bit. I'm going to give you a couple of chalkboards instead of questions. And I want to get inside your head on your interpretations of them and what you think about them and what we can do to try to make it where people understand a little more what both of us are trying to do in the world, because we're both very passionate about teaching. But I want to start it off with something I seen today, and it was really good. And I had to share it, and it was Chief Escuso. And he says, you must develop the ability to be disliked in order to free yourself from the prison of other people's opinions. Now that is strong. That is a very strong statement, and it's one that a lot of times us as instructors, mentors, things like that, that's something that hits home with us in any form of leadership, because a lot of us deal with imposter syndrome, and a little bit of words from the naysayers can beat us up pretty bad. Because a lot of times we're struggling mentally. Are we doing good enough as it is? But so here we go. Chalkboard number one. And hopefully I can be able to figure out this thing so whenever we go to publish it, I'll have a chalkboard fly up behind us. Uh, Work on this green screen back here. Uh, so the first one says, a great instructor teaches knowledge. A remarkable instructor awakens purpose. So in my thoughts, we have a lot of really good instructors that have a huge bank account of knowledge and love teaching it and do an awesome job at it. And then you've got a few people that just have that key to be able to unlock people to let that purpose out and let that passion release into them to where you get those people that become a diamond. You know, what are your thoughts on that?
Man, 100%. So like, I'll start by saying like, I absolutely love Frank Viscuso. He's become actually a very good friend of mine. And it's hilarious that you say that because I follow him and everything. You know, I followed him just like everybody else has forever. And about, I don't know, probably 6, 8 months ago, he actually came and taught at my department. And you talk about the naysayers and all that. So this is how funny the fire service is. Well, I'm gonna call it funny because we're gonna keep this calm. Um, he had heard of me and not a whole lot of good stuff about me. And so he's coming into my department and literally it had been told him like, hey, you know, watch it. You got Heath in there. That's that third alarm cowboy guy. Everything that you say in your class, he's gonna because you're a chief, he's gonna beat you up, he's gonna talk shit, blah, blah, blah. And literally, you know, I'm sitting in his class like mesmerized. I mean, this dude is awesome, you know. Phenomenal information, phenomenal lecture, all that kind of stuff. And I go up to him after and actually he, you know, he made a couple of points in the class where I got to be engaged and stuff in the class. And I absolutely loved it. And talking to him after, we talked outside the classroom for like an hour, hour and a half, him and actually my guys that travel with me. And we're all talking. Anyways, long story short, we've all become really good friends and bouncing ideas off each other and all this kind of good stuff. And it was very enlightening to me on what you're saying about the naysayers and how like you can be very, very passionate and teaching good information, and there's always going to be somebody that's got something to say. And he even told me that, and then you know I've experienced it, which I'm sure at some point we may talk about it in this episode, but I've experienced it very much so. But in talking about the knowledge and then versus like inspiring people, you know, I always try to use the analogies in everything I teach and all that because I come from a sports and rodeo background, and you know a lot of people don't haven't rodeo or whatever, so I won't necessarily go into that. But a lot of people have played sports, and you have coaches out there. There's a ton of coaches that go to college and they get their kinesiology degree and they become a coach for whatever sport they think that they want to do and coach. You know, and but you always have those coaches in your mind if you played sports growing up, you had some good coaches and you had some great coaches that made you love the game. And for me in the fire service, that's exactly what it is. You know, in training or whatever, you're going to have those officers that they have a ton of knowledge. They know all the stuff. They can quote every book to you and every NFPA standard, all that kind of mess. They can quote it to you. They got a ton of knowledge. But at the end of the day, like, are you excited about working for them? Like, do they, when you get to work, you're like, hell yeah, I get to be on this crew. And so for me, I think that's kind of what it is it's, you can have all the knowledge in the world and we see it, man. You're traveling and teaching like every conference we go to, it's the same. When we joke about getting a breakup letter, it's the same breakup letter. We had a record number of submissions. So there's a ton of people that are running around out there that have all this data and all this stuff, and they can, you know, and there's some great information out there. Firefighter Rescue Survey and all that stuff is phenomenal. And there's these dudes that can go on there and they can quote every stat out of every single one of those surveys and all that. And that's awesome. That's great. They have all the knowledge in the world. But then you listen to their lecture, and it's, I don't want to say it's dead, but they don't make you want to go run through a wall. They don't make you want that 2 o'clock in the morning fire to happen, where you get that opportunity to do the damn job. Like they don't necessarily have that. I'm not knocking on them. It just, that kind of is what it is. Some people do and some people don't. And um, I guess in all fairness, like if you're asking about inside my head, I'm not the dude that could quote data to you. Like I am a dummy. I like to simplify everything down because to me, this job is not hard. This job is not. There's a lot of technology and all that stuff that's gotten great, and we're doing more scientific technology wise than we've ever done, and that's all awesome because I like having gear that doesn't burn up. But at the end of the day, man, this is a very simple job, and it's just doing it, like just getting your ass in there and doing it, and that's kind of what I instill in the guys that I work with. That's what, when we do a training, like later this week, we're doing a new hire academy. And when I have my silver badge meeting with these guys, because I'm a firefighter, I'm not an officer anymore. So I am still one of them. I am a silver badge. And that's exactly what it's going to be like. Hey, man, like this job is so damn fun. And all you got to do is just do it. You got to try and kick doors down and try. When it's 2 o'clock in the morning and it's scary and it's hot and shit, I mean, we'll have your back, but like, you got to want to be here and love this shit.
I like what you were saying right there, and it brings me up to my next chalkboard because it'll keep rolling exactly what you were saying. The next chalkboard says, "Don't just teach the skill, teach the person that's holding the tool." And I think that rolls a lot with what you were just saying.
100%, 100%. And I'm very fortunate and very blessed. You were mentioning a minute ago a little bit about like imposter syndrome and stuff like that, man. Like, you go ask anybody in my department, I'm just dumbass Heath. Like, okay, that third alarm cowboy, blah, 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 all that. Like, that's what we all get from our hometown. So, like, any of you guys out there that are trying to start something, you're not getting any traction, like, understand you're never, somebody always says it's like a 100-mile rule or whatever. I think that's what Todd Edwards says, like a 100-mile rule. Like, within 100 miles of your hometown department, you're just an idiot. But, so understand that, like, going in, like, that's what it's going to be like. So if you ask guys here, they'll say, "Oh, that's just dumbass Heath," or whatever. But then we go other places and teach, and the things that we can actually spit at people, because we do make a lot of fires, and we are on the fire side. We're very busy. We don't have an ambulance in my department, thank God. We chase one, kind of, sorta, but I'm not having to run a box, and so it gives us a lot of opportunity to do a lot of cool fire stuff, and I'm very blessed in that. But the reality is like when we go teach, like you and I were talking about drafting and water supply stuff. We go teach a class somewhere, and they've been shown one version of draft. They know how to pull a draft with a primer. That's it. But we go teach and we're throwing different techniques at them, using a jet siphon, doing backflowing, burp drafting, like all these different ways. And these guys are like, "Damn, we didn't know you could even do this." I'm like, "Yeah, man. Well, what happens if your air goes out on your truck? And you have something can happen. You don't have that air primer anymore. You don't have that hydraulic pump goes out on your primer. What are you going to do? How are you still got to draft. You still got to get water. There's other ways to do it." So we teach that. And that's the big thing, I think, what you're talking about. And I really relay this in when we start talking about training with females or smaller guys. Like, I'm a big dude, right? And part of my class that I teach in what we travel is I teach the force entry. Well, I have to teach people several different methods, because if they're your size, they're probably not going to be able to muscle up on it like I can if it's a really hard door. So I teach them how to, marry up Halligans, or how to, marry a hook to it, all the different methods. But you got to be able to teach that person how they can do it, because just because it works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for them. If they weigh 105 pounds, I'm 280 pounds. They're not going to be able to do it the same way. Just like on the fire ground, I would 100% utilize that person to go up in the attic before I put my big ass up in the attic.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to learn. And I think that comes with a lot of experience and then a lot of knowledge on how to teach people. And I hate to be this way, but like, everybody doesn't make a good instructor, because until you can understand there's more than one way to skin a cat, then you don't really understand. I can teach you how to do it this way, but it may be your learning method is different. Like, whatever, say you like to learn by watching, because that's, you show me how to do something and I can do it. But other people may need to be able to read it, or they may need to hear it. Like, there's all the different ways of learning that all the scientists have figured out, the teachers out there have figured out through through years of education. And I think that we need to focus a lot more on that in the fire service and understanding like we are different individuals. What works for Heath may not work for Wayne. You
And
know,
I
I
think,
can pick up a 5 inch and drag it like it ain't shit. Maybe you can't. So, you know, like there's 100% we got to focus on what works for the person and being able to teach the person as opposed to just like, this is how we do it and that's it.
and I think one of the biggest things with that though, Heath, is you got to take the time to learn the person first. You have to take the time to invest in the people you're teaching, because
100%.
if you don't take the time to learn what makes them tick, you're not going to know how to send that delivery to them.
100%. And like it's hard. Like I know you're doing new hire academies. I'm do new hire academies. I have throughout my career in the different departments that I've worked for. And people always ask, why have you worked for so many departments? Well, newsflash for guys that go and work at one department, they stay there 30 years. Y'all are literally a rarity at this point. Unless you go to work like where you're at or FDNY or whatever. Like you come to work down here, and like I said, because there's so many departments, there's like, man, I want to say there's between 50 and 100 paid fire departments collectively right around Houston. And the reality to it is I don't know anyone personally that's only ever worked for one department. We've all worked separate jobs at duty crews. You know, this department over here is hiring part-time. So we work, everybody I know from my area has worked at more than one department in their career. So guys can, talk mess on that, whatever. But collectively in doing that, I've been a training officer and training captain at several different places. And that's a big thing. And you running a new hire academy, it is hard to kind of get to know those recruits right out of the gate to learn their style per se, because you're just now meeting them. But I think what people, if they would focus on, is understand they're a person. Like these are people. You're not hiring a payroll number. Now, and I talk about this a little in my lecture, and I tell your audience, like, you're not, regardless of how bad the fire chief looks at those spreadsheets, he's not hiring a payroll number. He's hiring a person or she, whatever. But they're hiring a person with a family, whether they're married with kids or they're younger, they got parents, they got grandparents. They're hiring a person with a personality, with a passion that they need to be able to figure out what drives them, and get that in the system. And once you figure out what makes that person tick, these people will run through walls for you. They'll work for you for damn near nothing. You're not paying them that much anyway, but it's just a matter of figuring out what that person needs.
Yeah. And, like one of the things we do, and we found out that it works really well, is day one, we do the little orientation stuff, welcome here, all that. But when we actually get them over to the academy, they leave HR, everything else, and they get to the academy. We sit down and have a half a day worth of conversations so we can learn what's your educational background, what's your learning style, do you have any disabilities? We don't have them come out in the open and say it, but if you've got something that you need to tell us so we can help you be successful, come up to me at a break or something like that. But the biggest thing we can do is build relationships.
Absolutely.
And letting them know my sole job is to do nothing but watch them walk across that stage and then go in there and start kicking doors down and doing the job. But until they walk across that stage, my job is to invest everything I can into them so they are successful, because they are my resume, not that piece of paper that's got my name on it with what classes I've got and however many letters there is behind my name and all that. The people getting their badge pinned on them on graduation day, that's my resume.
100%.
Because no matter what, when I'm dead and gone or not here or riding a rocking chair or whatever you want to call it, they're still going to be out there doing that foundational work I laid in.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And, two things on that. Whenever I went to EMT school, the college I went to from my EMT school had a very, very, very successful paramedic program. And they were literally known across the state of Texas as being one of the hardest paramedic programs you could actually go through. They required double the clinical hours of what the state requirement actually was, but they had like a 98% pass rate.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't that they were pencil whipping it, because it's really hard to pencil whip the National Registry. But everybody knew if you went to that school and you took it from that professor, you had a 98% pass rate because they didn't play any shit. And so, like you're talking about with your resume, that is a resume. Like if they know your academy is producing this level of cadet coming out that's this level of ready for the job, that's all the resume you need because guys know, like, hey, when did you go to the academy? Oh, whenever Uncle Wayne was running. Oh, okay. They're going to be solid when they come out on the truck. That means way more than what degrees and certs and all that mess. So 100%. And the other thing in talking about like the personalities and everything, man, like I've worked in the hood most of my career. Houston's pretty hood. And, we get a lot of guys that come from broken homes. They live, HUD housing or apartment complexes their whole life. So a lot of guys, they kind of escape gangland to come to either the fire department or they go to the military. Like getting to know all that stuff about an individual, man, you can really figure out like why they're there. Like a lot of dudes, and I'm sure you've seen, and I talk about it with everybody in my class and stuff. Like guys coming out of the military, they're coming to the fire service looking for a brotherhood. They want a mission to be focused on, and they want a brotherhood. You can latch onto that, man. You're solid.
It's a verb.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Love 100%. You, Mufasa.
Yeah, I'm about to say shout out to you, Chief. Yeah, 100%, man. And it just takes, how long does that take to ask a guy like, hey, how many of y'all served in the military? Mm-hmm. Okay, what branch? Man, if you find out they're in the Marine Corps, bro, you got you a devil dog that you can't beat down. I mean, that just is what it is.
I got two right now.
Yeah, 100%.
So coming up to the next one, technology is a tool, not a teacher. AI will never have the heart or passion that an instructor has. And I think this is going to be a really good talking concept. I thought about it a couple of weeks ago because, Dragon had his thing on there with Steph White and Coralie and Nick, and they were talking so much about AI and stuff. And AI is here. It's not going anywhere. People use it all the time. I kind of look at it the same way Stephanie did, and it's my secretary. It keeps me straight because my dumb brain can't keep where I'm supposed to be and what's going on. So I use it a lot for that. But there is more and more, and I'll say everybody remembers when Target Solutions first come out. I don't need to go any further than that. But
yeah.
It was it tried to be a replacement for what we really need to be doing, and that's engaging people. Because everybody knows you click, 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 wait for the video, click, 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 wait for. Are they really getting anything out of it? No, they're logging hours, but they're truly not getting anything out of it. And that's, I was thinking of Target Solutions and everything else, because before we had Target Solutions, we had Kramer versus Kramer on VHS. I remember that.
Yeah.
VHS, kids. VHS. That's okay. I took my Fire One on a overhead projector slides. But AI's here, but we need to use it as a tool. And as good instructors, we can use it to enhance our ability to be able to reach out more. We can have it to where it helps us do a little bit of our work, not do our work for us, but help us keep things straight. I'm not good with grammar at all. I fluently I can't even talk now, but I fluently speak cornbread very well. Write about the way I talk. So I'm sorry once again to my editors. But we've got more and more people that are trying to use AI. Guys, we got to remember to use it as a tool. This is what makes a difference in those recruits. And if it's not recruits, if it's somebody you teaching on the bay floor, or if you're a captain and you're trying to mentor a lieutenant coming up, getting ready for a captain's exam, or if you're a deputy chief trying to get an assistant ready for his next time to go up. One of the biggest struggles we had with some students were using the apps, using them for testing, using the apps. And we found out that the numbers were starting to kind of go down a little bit whenever more people were utilizing the apps. So we pulled back, put some more time into books, a little more lecture time, added on to what the regular class was, numbers started going back up. So it's a tool. We can't depend on.
No, 100%, man. Yeah, and I saw Chris and them that they did like a collab, and I hadn't got to watch it, but I got to see some.
It's really good. It's really good.
I haven't seen it, man. It's like everything else. When you're actually doing podcasts, you very rarely have the time to actually watch other people's podcasts. So I'm pretty terrible about that. But I did get to see some of the highlights, and I agree. So this is the deal on whole AI. And actually, Preston Lyons, shout out to you. He made a post not too long ago, actually talking about AI and the fire service, and basically all the flyers and all that kind of. And I don't disagree with what he's saying. And I actually comment on there. I'm like, hey man, like I'm a very busy guy. And so I will tell you all day long, like most people, even some of my best friends, they actually see my calendar between running this business, working 2 fire department jobs. I got a ranch that I'm running, a 500-acre ranch where we're breeding horses. I got cows. The 5 kids all doing it. Like I'm a very busy guy. So for me, I won't even bullshit anybody. I use it for my, grammar, checking when I do these articles that I've been dropping stuff. You and I were joking about it earlier, but like I'm running down the highway and talking on my talk to text through the Bluetooth on my iPhone, and it's going into my notes. And then whenever I get ready to actually like publish that article per se, I'll drop that rough draft into an AI platform and say like, hey, clean up my grammar and all that. Cause like you joking about you speaking cornbread, man, I'm from Texas. So everybody thinks we still ride horses all around. So same type deal, but I utilize it for that. And then I utilize it for making my flyers. I'll take my pictures from an event or whatever and drop them on them. Like, hey, make me a training flyer for this with this date, this price, blah, blah, blah. And for me, it's a time saver. And a lot of people may not like that or whatever, but the truth of the matter is a massive time saver. But at the end of the day, and what you're saying is 100% correct. I see it all the time. I'm not going to talk a bunch of shit on people that are utilizing it or whatever. I actually made a comment the other day about it. Like you can literally go on there and type up on any AI and say whatever. Heath Meredith, generate me a post about what Heath Meredith says about fire chiefs, right? And it'll scan my crap and it'll probably put on there like Heath Meredith says F fire chiefs this many times, whatever, So people will do that kind of stuff. And what I'll say to the fire service when it comes to that, like I'm not the end all be all, like I'm not a technology guy. But what I will say is guys out here that are utilizing that, you can't truly use it until you have your own story. Where the world is going to go with this whole AI thing, because you're right, it's here. It's here to stay. The federal government is making data centers in every small town across the state of Texas, and I'm sure everywhere else in the country. It's not going anywhere. But what it is when you go to utilizing that stuff, you got to have your own story. You have to have lived some sort of life. You had to, if you want AI to make you some type of content, you got to have some damn content. And that means that either you need to have a career that you've done something, or you need to live a life. If you're going to talk about life stuff, it's kind of hard you can have AI write you a article or something or whatever all day long on being divorced. But until you've actually gone through a divorce, you really don't know what divorce is about. That's about the best example I can give for it. And so it's got to be from you. It's got to be your stories. It's got to be your content, and then utilize that tool to make it better, clean it up, fix your spelling like you and I do, all that kind of stuff. Utilize it, but you got to have your own stories. And the example I'll give everybody is something I've been seeing a lot lately. Technology to the fire service is not a new thing. When we went from horse-drawn steamer engine style to actual automobile style pumpers, that was a whole new technology, right? Well, in our careers, I'll say 2 big pieces of technology that you and I have seen change is when I started, there was no radios on the truck besides the captain. The captain's the only one who had a radio. My first probably 8 years, I didn't ever have a handheld radio. Mm-hmm. So now we have a whole new system where now it's like, oh, you're out of service if every firefighter doesn't have a radio, right? That's the big thing. The other big deal is I had been on the job probably 10 years before I had my first tick. And then it was like the big ass sumbitch that looked like a giant camcorder from the 80s and 90s, and you clip it on. And I'll be honest, man, I was a captain when I got assigned and given my first thermal imaging camera, and I never carried it because I hated it. I hated this big thing hanging on me. Okay, so we've had these new technological things come out in the fire service forever, and we utilized it as a tool. You still had to know how to do the job. Now, where I'll tell you AI, where I'm seeing it become an issue is we now have guys, and I'm sure you're seeing this to some degree, But we have guys that are going to these academies and they're coming out, they're coming to work for us. And, they've already got their fire cert, their EMT, all this kind of stuff. They've never actually done a search and rescue operation or a search operation without a tick. They've also never done a vertical ventilation operation without a tick. You have people out there that are teaching the guys, like, and I teach both, but let's talk about ventilation because it works really well for thermal. I think everybody knows in search what you're doing with the thermal. There's guys that'll get up on a roof and they're so used to having a captain with a tick go over there and say, yep, here's the hottest spot on the roof, cut your hole right here, boom, okay? Yeah, and that's great. It streamlines it and everything. But what happens when the battery goes dead or the battery doesn't have a good connection inside, which can happen, especially if it gets wet or something? We're not even teaching guys the old school way of cutting inspection holes on the roof to find where your fire's at. So, and it's the same thing with doing a search. We're not actually teaching guys how to do a search with their senses, with hands, eyes, seeing, all that kind of stuff. They're not teaching them how to do that. They're completely reliant on that tick. Well, what happens when the battery goes dead and you're in that dark ass hallway? You got to know how to still do it if you want to call it the old school method or whatever, but you have to still be able to do it the analog way, the manual way, to make that grab or get yourself out. You can't rely on that technology, even though in the academies nowadays and all these different cert classes, they're teaching that mess a lot, but they're becoming overly reliant on the technology and they don't know how to do it with just their hands and their feet. And I would say that's the same thing and the same issue I'm starting to see with some of the AI stuff. And this is just me, and I'm a dumbass down here in Texas, but you cannot rely on that. You got to have your own substance. You got to have your own stories. Do not be that guy that's on a roof that doesn't know how to cut a hole and find the seat of the fire and get above the fire without a tick. You got to still have your way of doing it.
Well, it's funny you say that. When we do our training, I'm a firm believer in anything we do is crawl, walk, run. Anything we do, it doesn't matter if it's forcing a door, cutting a hole, doing a search. It's crawl, then walk, then run. Me with a tick, that's running in my mind because it speeds up the process. That's what it's supposed to be there for. So anything we do, like when our people learn how to cut holes in roofs, they don't even get a chainsaw. It's axe time, baby. I mean, they learn how to do it one way, then they run it with the saw, and then we put the tick in the saw into it. Doing a search, it's nothing but your hands in a bar. You got that your hands in a Halligan bar or whatever with you. You going in. Then after you get the basic concepts down, then you step it up, and then somebody's leading in with a tick. Because no matter what, just like you say, you fall back to the very basics if something goes bad, and you've got that to go back to. But they also learn to respect those tools and understand what they're truly capable of when they've had to do without them before they get them. And it helps a lot. It takes a little longer to do it that way, but you get a lot better product in the end result.
I'm about to say, I thought you told me you weren't going to get me fired up, man. You start talking about that crawl, walk, run. That's actually one of my big pet peeves is I'll go to these trainings and I'll see guys, and it's one thing if you're taking like whatever, say for instance, take my crew, you go throw my crew through the ringer and they're going to do all right. But you take new hires and everything, man, I'll go to places with guys that are brand new to the job or haven't been on the job long, and they go to these classes or they're even at their own department and their own guys are throwing them a million miles of chaos right out the gate. And they don't have any idea. They're literally lost. That's not okay. Like I loved your post you were talking about with the training ground, and this is our spot to learn, and all that kind of. That's where that comes from. Like if you're bringing a guy on the training field and going in, and you're just purposely trying to make them screw up, and it's something they've never done with, that you're not doing them justice. These guys have got to come in and they need to learn the basics. They need to have a foundation. And then once you get strong on the foundation, then you can put them through the ringer and find out where their breaking point is. But you got to start somewhere. You can't just immediately break them and then expect for them to actually be successful, because it's not going to happen. You got to start somewhere and build your way up. So totally agree.
Yeah, because I mean, when we're teaching our classroom, our drill yard, wherever it may be, That's where we're delivering information. That's what we're doing. But we're doing something so much more than that. When we're delivering that information, we're giving the theory. We're giving them a theory. They're getting some hands-on approach so they can put the hands to the theory. And then what are we doing? Ultimately, we're building confidence in their ability, in their skill set. And that's exactly what you were talking about. It's like, um, it doesn't do me any good whatsoever to go make a scenario that nobody can be successful in,
Yeah.
because give them a win. I mean, I know we pick a lot of times about everybody gets a trophy and all that. It's no different. Give them a win. That way, whenever they get it down, and then you can give them something that you know they're not going to be successful with. But it's nothing that they haven't seen before. You just make it challenging where it's going to be really hard. And then it becomes what? It's not killing their confidence. It's giving them a lesson on how to build their adversity, be able to come after, be a little stronger, go a little harder. It's all crawl, walk, run.
And any I'm calling them Facebook firefighters, which I got that shirt where is my troll shirt on all the Facebook firefighters out there got something to say. Anybody that wants to argue with that, a lot of them I would probably say probably didn't grow up playing sports. But look, man, I'm from Texas, and high school football is king, right? We're literally known for that. You have spring ball in football, whether you're pro, college, high school, little league, it don't matter. You got spring ball, right? That you're not even in pads. You're out there in your jersey and athletic shorts, and you're running through the drills, getting ready. You're conditioning your body. You're getting used to the heat. You're getting used to the movements. You're doing all this stuff. Spring ball is where you learn the playbook. Okay. Then you go into summer two-a-days, which is right before fall kicks off. You know, the last month, that's whenever you're doing 2 days. That's when we're going in full gear and we're ready to rock. And we're cracking heads on everybody but the red-shirted quarterback. And then even during the season, whatever, take pros, because you know a lot of people watch pros. I like to talk about college because we from the South. You know, you're over there with all them old dogs and stuff. But
ain't no dog around my house. We got a bunch of chickens in my front yard. I don't know about.
Well, you're not a Georgia Dogs fan?
No, sir. Game call all day long.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're gonna watch it, man. They're gonna be pitchforks outside your house.
No, they won't. I live in South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Mm,
Okay, I got you.
yeah.
Yeah, you're all right then.
Ain't even no tiger paws around my yard. It's
That's what I'm
game.
talking about. Well, so take pros for instance, but even college is no different, right? Right. You play on the weekend. Monday morning, they're not going back to full pads. You can watch any documentary you want to hear this. Monday morning, they're coming back into recovery and repair mode of their body, and they're slow rolling things. They're watching game tape, getting ready for the next week's game. They're watching, you know, who they're going to be up against their next opponent. And they start off and they literally work through the week, and it progresses, you know, their difficulty level progresses right before game time. So it's no different for us. How the hell are these, you know, we all want to talk mess on how much, you know, pro athletes get paid. And then there's a lot of people out there, and I'm not knocking where, because I'd love to get paid millions of dollars. It's never going to happen. But guys want to consider us to be professional athletes, fire service individuals as professional athletes, but we don't do what they do. You know, we're not over here preparing ourselves like they are. Like, if we're going to do that, then we have to start at the foundation, learn the playbook, and we're doing that in t-shirts and shorts. And then you're working your way up. And I mean, I know it'll never happen. It's kind of far-fetched, but I really wish the fire service had a way where we could actually rotate off and go into like a training mode where we come off of duty and we get to go into a position like that. That's just a far-fetched dream of mine one day that somebody could actually do that at a department. But even with you being online and running calls and still being at a station, understanding that like every single second of your life is not Super Bowl game time. Do you need to be ready for it? Absolutely. But there is times in your life when you need to be in that spring ball mode. There is times in your life where you need to be learning the playbook. And whatever that looks like, you know, whether you're truck operations, engine operations, training cadre, like what you're doing, you got to learn the playbook. I mean, it's just, you have to learn that stuff, and you got to start somewhere. So for me, it's not.
That's where these micro conferences come in so handy for us. And I will preach that from the rooftops. We've got so many of these small micro conferences coming up everywhere. That gives us the ability to have spring ball all the time.
Absolutely.
And then, I mean, you can go from, because some of the classes, you're in t-shirt and bunker pants with a helmet or whatever. And then some of the classes you're in your full gear, and some are under live fire conditions and everything else. But it's, it's giving everybody the ability to go everywhere, stay in it, stay training all the time, to get themselves up to that next level, to do more work, to get better. And the numbers are steady going up. There's more and more of these things popping up
Everywhere.
where there's tons of people going to training. And I truly think it's because we're seeing that circle come back around. Everything in the fire department goes around in circles. I mean, I heard somebody, I was reading an article the other day about somebody talking about exhaust fans. I'm like, please, we're not bringing those back, are we? But I wouldn't be
We never
surprised.
quit using them.
Flip them around backwards.
Yeah.
But, but that's a perfect chance, like using those conferences. There's so many of them coming up. I mean, you've got Before the Belt is coming up in Arkansas. You got First and Fire coming up. You've got Wichita Hot's going to be in October. You got Small Town Fools is going to be in October. There's a lot of stuff coming up everywhere, and I know there's a lot more. And
Yeah.
I just
There's
don't have
a
a
new
list.
one popping up almost every weekend somewhere.
And the cool part about it is, now, don't get me wrong, I love going and listening to a lot of the big name people, because it gives these small conferences give a chance for the people that can't go to FDIC. They can't travel to go to these places. When these speakers and instructors are coming to these smaller ones, it gives them a little part of that so they can live it and get hungry, and until they can have the opportunity to go up to the big show and stuff, but still be exposed to those mindsets and those people, and changing their thought and how they look at things, and giving them that recharge. Because every time I go to one, when I come back home, those guys are like, oh God, it's going to take him 3 weeks to calm down. Because I'm like wound up whenever I come back from one. And like, I'm going to say, look at, we're going to both be in Wichita.
Hmm.
And I've never been there. I'm excited. I'm going to get really scared if I see Toto running around.
That's it.
But, there's so many of them. I mean, some have hot classes, some don't. Um, there's a lot of them that you go to, just kind of more of a it's a good lecture time, and then more so networking, because we need networking more than anything. We truly do, because a lot of times, I would be safe to say, a lot of people listening to this right now think they're by themselves a lot of times whenever they go to thinking about how they feel about the job, unless
All
they're,
you got to do is go read the comments on my Facebook posts.
well, I mean, there's a lot of people that are into the job. By far, there are tons of people that love what they do. But there's how many people are that one person inside a firehouse that's wanting to get better, wanting to do more, and they're just with a crew that's not some go getters. The guys they're retired on duty right now, or whatever, however you want to say it. Those places give them a chance to network with other people that are, wired up into the job, going and doing training in some other places. And it's and a lot of departments will let you go. They
Yeah.
won't. I mean, as long as you do your legwork part of it. I mean, you're not going to just load up and with the department's gear and air packs and everything else, and go do a live fire class without letting them know, and everything that goes on with it. Or you might once. Um,
Yeah, I was gonna say you may work at a place that's like that is. Yeah, I mean, it is. I love every bit of it. I love that they're popping up. And in all fairness, I'll be selfish on this and saying that, like, those are the conferences that I enjoy going to. I've never been to FDIC, so I don't necessarily have an opinion. I've watched a million live feeds. I love it. One of the coolest things in the world to me is the pipe and drum parade. That's awesome. But for me, and kind of what I enjoy and my guys enjoy, I like going to these small ones. And the
mhm.
thing is, it's big to us about it is you and I were joking earlier about, there's some really big names and stuff out there, and they may work for FDNY or Cal Fire or whatever, LA Fire and all that, but they're used to having, I've heard Todd say it a million times, like at Atlanta, he could just literally keep hitting that damn box alarm button until he can finally put enough firefighters in a building that it smothers out. And there's guys that are coming from those big departments, and they've got great stories and this, that, and the other. And but they have that option. They have no idea what it's like to ride a truck with one or two guys on a fire truck. and then you have dudes like me and you that come from that type. So I can go all the way to South Carolina like we've done, or Mississippi or Alabama or anywhere, anywhere, and go to these small conferences, and our tactics relate to their tactics,
Mm-hmm.
because all it is, they're a county department or a small city department, and the stuff meshes and works because they're not at FDNY or an LA Fire. And so it gives guys like us that have real experience. And honestly, I tell people this all the time, and this is just the truth. All I will say about my experience and the thing that I'm blessed with is our area, because we're attached to Houston, we really just have about a 15 to 20 year head start on everybody else. All of these county, fire board, ESD board, whatever the different state calls them. In Texas, they call them emergency services districts. But, there's fire board departments and these county departments. We literally just have a 10 to 15 year or a 15 to 20 year head start at this point on most of those. So all the things that we've gone through and experienced with the development and the thousands of homes being built and all that kind of stuff, we're just ahead of y'all in the game. So it allows us the ability to say like, hey man, 10 years ago, we tried that and it didn't work, And so that is the real reason why, like, I guess more or less our method of everything works. Our platform is working is, yes, there is a million guys. There's a million something firefighters, right? In the country, combination, paid and volunteer. And you can't tell me that a million guys hate this job. They don't. They love it. They absolutely love it. This is, I would legitimately like to say that it's less than 5% of the fire service is actually like really is in it for the wrong reasons. I would say it's over 90% of the guys. You read my DMs, you read my emails, you read my comments, and the numbers are outstanding on the guys that literally just feel stuck. They feel like, man, until we start following your platform or whatever it looks like, whatever the message is, like, I was with a crew that was, had me beat down, or my fire chief sucked, or I was struggling with stuff at home. Those guys are just looking for real people. And when they go to these small conferences, it gives them the opportunity to find real people. You're Wayne, I'm Heath. Like, there ain't nothing special about us. We're just normal dudes that have found a way to get a microphone and have the balls to stand up on a stage and tell the world our story. That's it. That's all we are. But those conferences give those guys the ability to find people like us, as opposed to, trying to make a $10,000 trip to FDIC. It's just not financially feasible for a lot of people. And so I love it. I love every minute of these conferences popping up.
27 is my year. I'm going one way or the other. I've never had the opportunity to go one way or another. I am getting there this year coming up.
And it was funny too, because I was getting messages from like, some big name folks and stuff like that. It's like, man, are you up here? And I'm like, no, we were actually teaching that week down here. We had a local regional training that was going on. That was about, I don't know, 4 or 5 different departments were coming in, taking our engine ops class. So for me, I had work I had to do down here, money making work down here. But I'm with you, man. Like, I really, really hope to get to go this year, as long as we don't book something else, I'm going to choose a paying job over going up there to spend a bunch of money. But it's phenomenal, man. And those guys get the chance to relate to real people. I think you talked a lot earlier about relationships, and I could not agree more. I think that's the big thing. You want guys to really love the job and be fired up about the job. Let them realize there's real people doing real stuff and actually give a damn. And that will make guys love the job more. Even the guys that are in the crews you call retired on duty, it's because they've been so beat down over 20 years through toxic this or bad outside life deals, going through divorce, all the nasty stuff that firemen have to go through. They're just beat down in life and don't have a connection with anybody that fires them up anymore. That's all it is. That they still got some little spark in them is why they haven't retired yet. They still got some little bitty something in them that I've even seen the oldest, crustiest, I just want to come to work and be in my PJs all day. A fire call drops and you see a twinkle in their eye.
Yeah.
Like, it's still there. Everybody's still got
it. And to piggyback off of what you were saying a minute ago, even at the big conferences, there's a lot of big conferences going to, and guess what? All those people are real too. Everybody's there. If you travel across the country to get to Indy, you care about what you're going there for. You're not going just to say, I went to FDIC. You want to go be around people. You want to learn from, the best in the business and everything else.
Completely agree. Yeah, my biggest exposure to that, probably the biggest conference I've ever been to was I went to March Mayhem this year out in Boise, Idaho. And it's exactly what you're talking about. I mean, collectively, it was all the best cadres across the nation all come there because I think they had like 6 or 7 different training sites going on. Like, live, I mean, it was nuts. It was nuts. I would hate to be the guys, Gino and Marty and all them out there trying to logistically figure that out because I don't know how they were doing it, but it all came together. And it's like, for us, it's like a big family reunion. It's very, very cool to get to see all the guys, and Mike's out there, and Preston. I mean, we're all like super, super happy, but you have these guys coming in and they're going, this day they're taking Logan Hinkle in them class with rural fire tactics. And then the next day they're taking Eric Wheaton's class. And the next day they're going, taking Todd's class. Like they're going to all these different burn sites and taking all these classes. You're not doing and getting your ass kicked like that, doing live fire after live fire after live fire, if you don't love the job. So it's just really, really.
All right. Next chalkboard. And this will roll back to what we were just talking about a minute ago, because it seems like I got a common theme that rolls around with these things. So this one says, students don't need another lecture. They need somebody that believes in them. And part of one of my classes when I teach, and especially with our generation we're getting now, the ones that are coming in, they need somebody that believes in them. Because a lot of times, especially I call them my COVID kids because they're the ones that finished up high school and college and everything else during COVID. They had this and a laptop, and that's what they had. They didn't have
a teacher with a mask on like this the whole time.
Well, they didn't have ball coaches. They didn't have people that were mentoring them through school. They didn't have that interaction and stuff. A lot of times, we're the first person that gives a damn whether they succeed or they fail. And a lot of times, if we invest in them and show them we're in it with them, we want to see them be successful, we're going to do whatever we've got to do, we believe in them, they'll kick down walls. I mean, they really will because, and the cool thing is they're not scared to tell you what they need to be successful. I've seen more and more of that, and I've talked to somebody about it the other day, and they're not ashamed to say, this is how I learn the best. This is how I comprehend things. And in times of past, I've had students that had learning disabilities, and they come right up to me at the get-go and say, this is my kryptonite. I'm scared to death because this is my kryptonite. And I'm like, we good. It's going to take a lot of extra work, but by the time it's over with, we'll be done. We'll get it. And it leads on to my next chalkboard. It says, teach others until they no longer need you, but they always know they can call you. That's what our job truly is. We become the tool in their toolbox. We give them everything we can. And whenever we're done, we let them know, I'm still here if you need me. And a lot of times they've never had those two types of things in their life. They've never had the person that would look them man to man to woman, whatever, instructor to student, and say, I believe in you, and I'm going to be in here with you the whole way. I'm going to help you get through this. And then on the flip side, congratulations, you done it. Now I'm always here. Kind of like the conversation me and you had back in Tennessee. My biggest mentor still calls me every week. 27 years later, he still calls me every week. That's what it is, because us being teachers, we're as an instructor, teacher, whatever you want to call it, we truly are mentoring these people right out the get-go. We're not just giving information. We are investing in their future. We are helping guide them on the path they're going to walk throughout the rest of their career. And it doesn't go away just whenever they, these guys graduate, I get another class of people in. I got a whole new crop coming in. But just because the other ones are gone, don't mean my phone doesn't ring. It doesn't mean that I can't take the time to talk to them, to help them, say, hey, come see me, when you're off shift, come meet me at lunch one day and I'll talk to you about things, or I'll meet you somewhere. Is how can we expect the fire service to ever get better if we don't take the time to see that investment we spent so much time in to start off with, to see it the whole way through? You know, I'll use my country bumpkin deal and say, uh, if all you do is take a tractor and cut some rows and throw some seed out, you ain't never gonna have a crop. I mean, you've got to take care of that field. No different than the people we were raising through the fire service.
I completely agree. Completely agree. It's a very interesting dynamic. So twofold on that. And talking about having the people, you know, that like basically tell them like, hey, I believe in you. And I'm here to make you successful and all that stuff. You're absolutely right. A lot of people haven't heard that.
Mm-hmm.
A big thing, and like, you know, giving you a shout out, I've actually added it to my lecture when you sat in my class at Smoky Mountain and pointed out that COVID aspect to me. That is a huge reality to today's fire service, that people better get with the program, because that is the timeline that we're lining up to. You know, the other thing about it, my oldest daughter is 18 years old. Okay. She could literally go to fire school right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and I'm not talking mess on any of the older generation. I'm not doing it. What I will say is, guys our age, the ones that give a damn, are, I don't want to say better parents, but have taught our kids different lessons than what our parents or our grandparents taught, right? Like, I'll say it all day long. My grandparents used to basically, they had the attitude of, you know, show up to work, you do 30 years at this job, you eat shit all the 30 years, and you take that job and you be appreciative for that job. Well, then our parents' generation ate a lot of shit. I watched my parents eat a lot of shit. You know, my dad through the years didn't get paid what he should have, worked 100 hours a week, all that kind of mess, right? I learned some really, like, I will never take a salary job because of my dad and watching how much he was worked. And oh yeah, we're going to give you comp time for everything after 40, but he never even got to use the shit. You know, so I watched basically a lot of lessons about my parents. And so it made me be the person I am. I don't work on salary. I'm going to get paid for my time. I'm very outspoken. I'm not going to eat shit just because you're my boss. I'm not going to eat shit. And I have no qualms about, okay, yeah, you're not at the same fire department for 30 years. Okay, whatever. I watched my dad eat shit for a long time. And at the end of it, they basically gave him the boot, you know, working for the state, working for the government, giving him the boot and saying, hey, you know, yeah, thank you for your service. You're gone. Deuces, whatever. 25 years, didn't even get a damn going away party. So I will never be that guy. You want me to work for you? You're going to make it worth my while. You're drawing on and making all this money. I'm going to make mine. Call me selfish, whatever, but that's the truth. We learn from other people ahead of us, okay? In saying that, our kids, I tell my kids all day long, you will own your own business. Not that that's going to be your end all be all, but you will have some sort of business, because I'm going to teach y'all how to cheat the tax man. You will not get used and treated like shit. Your time is too valuable. Life is too short. And you're put on this earth to have a purpose way more than to get shit on by some boss that looks at you as a payroll number on a spreadsheet. I'm teaching my kids that. My 18-year-old daughter can go to fire school right now. When she walks into, you know, and I'm not saying she is, whatever, she's going to college and doing her thing. She wants to be a coach. But if she was to walk in one of y'all's fire stations right now, she would know, yeah, you got to mop the floors. Yeah, you got to be a rookie. Yeah, you got to do your job. But at the end of the day, bro, this is 2026. We got people making millions of dollars sitting at home on a damn computer. If you're going to treat her like shit, I'm out. Life's too short to get treated like shit. So we've taught our kids that stuff because that's what we do as responsible parents, okay? I would say collectively, I know you're no different. You got daughters and stuff over here. No way would you let your kids get treated like shit coming into a fire department. We've taught our kids that stuff, and that's our generation, right? We're all kind of, which, you know, I did my own thing with my career choices, but we are kind of the mid-level managers age group right now of the fire service. Most of our generation is in that captain role, maybe early chief role. So all of our generation is replacing these older guys that are going out that were the, hey, you show up here and you be just damn thankful you have a fucking job, because, you know, this just, you be thankful to be here. And we're coming in and we've taught our kids that are now coming in. It's like, no, we love this job. We're here for a reason. And we absolutely love being here, but like, you're going to treat us good, and we're going to be open and honest with you. We're going to more or less talk about like what our boundaries are. And, that's a whole new concept too, because like rookies coming in, we never allowed a rookie to come into a station and be able to have boundaries. Like, we treat them half-assed like what we did. You kind of sort of treat them like slaves when they come in. Not saying it's right, but you're here. Well, no, I heard a recent story about a guy that a senior man dumped the food on the floor and expected the rookie to mop it up because he's a rookie. And I'm going to tell you right now, wholeheartedly all day long, try that with one of my children. Try that with one of your children.
Try. I don't care if it's my kid or not. You ain't gonna do it around somebody else. Not with me.
You get what I'm saying? Like, we taught our children what to tolerate, what not to. So them coming in the fire service and basically like, hey man, we're here to make you successful, and them having a voice and telling you like that's. I don't want to take full credit on that's what our parenting is, but that kind of is what our generations of parenting is. We've taught our kids to be open and transparent and be like, hey man, this is what I need. Marty told me not that long ago, Marty Corneliuson out in California, he said that the recent interviews they've had with this next generation coming in is the first in his 30-something years of service that he's had guys coming in on an interview. When they ask, the opportunity, they say, you got any questions for us? And they ask them wholeheartedly, as a department, what are y'all doing for firefighter mental health? As a department, what are y'all doing for firefighter cancer prevention? Because these people aren't dumb. You pointed out earlier about
what's your benefits package?
What's your benefits package? Am I going to come here and are y'all going to treat me like a slave and make me eat shit? And then in 20 years, I look up and I have cancer and y'all cut me loose. These kids aren't playing that game. I'll come here and risk my life. And I understand. They're basically saying like, I understand the inherent dangers of this job. And there's a high probability of me getting cancer. You as a department, how are y'all going to take care of me when that day does come? And if you don't have an answer, they're not going to come to work for you. And I think that's responsible. Like, if you knew you were going to sign up for a job that you were going to get cancer and basically be thrown to the wolves, like what's happening here in Texas, these departments around here, Texas signed, I'm going kind of left field, but Texas signed 2 years ago the presumed cancer law that went all the way to the Supreme Court and is passed in the state of Texas that says, I think it's 13 different types of cancer. If you were ever a volunteer or paid firefighter in the state of Texas and you, active or retired, come down with one of these 13 different types of cancers, it is to be covered by a workman's comp premium through that department because you were on their roster and everything. You still have major cities, including the one right here, that is fighting that every breath because they don't want to pay for their guys. People aren't going to come sign up to come work for you if they know that you're not even going to follow Texas Supreme Court law in taking care of me when I get cancer, because of all the crazy stuff we see and have to deal with. So that's our kids coming in, this generation coming in, being responsible and trying to genuinely take care of themselves and their health and everything like that. So us as being their leaders, and then I'll hit the second part of your chalkboard, as being their leaders and saying like, yeah, man, we care. Like, we care enough that we're doing A, B, and C. And if we do that, man, these people will 100% run through walls for us. And the other aspect of that, the question I get asked all the time is at the end of my lecture or whatever, these guys are like, man, I love what you're talking about. I'm fired up. I'm all about this. I've got this type of chief or this type of captain. I'm dealing with this type of leadership in my department that basically is toxic and retired on duty that just don't care anymore. And I'm like, yeah, man, 100%. You know what you do about that? Adopt the fact. It's kind of like when we're fighting the federal government right now, man. You can't hardly watch Congress and Senate because they're all a bunch of Alzheimer's patients. So we watch that and understand, like, most of these people, you could argue all day long, regardless of what party you're with, whatever. But you could argue all day long with Chuck Schumer or whatever his name, Mitch, whatever. Sir Strokes a lot. You can't argue with some of these old people and these guys that have been in for so long. You're never going to make a real difference with them. But what you can do is exactly what you're talking about. You can have these guys, and I don't care if it's your second day on the job and a guy that comes in behind you, it's their first day on the job. You're now a senior to that person. You don't have to have rank. You don't have to be a training captain. You don't have to have any of that to actually take care of somebody. So if you'll take this person under your wing, teach them, 2 days worth of stuff, they know 1 day worth of stuff. You teach them that extra day worth of stuff, and then every single day that goes on, you're still teaching them, and let that kind of, that ripple effect, and that, I guess you call it a spider web, kind of go out where you're teaching these dudes. You'll look up in 10 years and 75% of the department you coached and mentored. And you don't even have to have rank to be that. They're going to be calling you because guess what? You were that guy that had 1 day of seniority on them, that was outside throwing ladders with them, or that was outside playing, pulling lines, or outside doing a workout with them, playing football with them. Whatever you're doing at your station, you were outside being the one doing that. And rank can't buy you that. Rank cannot buy you that influence. I don't care who sells you what book. They can't buy you that level of influence, because you took the time and shared one extra day of knowledge that you have with that person, and it spread and went across the department. And when these people go to, they promote and go to a different shift, or they go to a different station, they're still going to be calling you because you cared when nobody else did. And that's the big thing about it, is showing that you care about these people as a person. You can't buy that level of influence. You can't buy that level of leadership. I don't care who you are. You just can't do it.
Okay, so I'm going to throw one back to it. When you were talking about the thing that kind of riled me up, talking about people mistreating the new guy, that's something that's not cool. Somebody needs to, get popped in the soup cooler for that.
I would have.
But so we've got to be in the mindset of our kids. If we are the senior people on the, in the firehouse, on the street, however it is, in the department, a lot of us got kids the age of the people that are coming through. Like you said, your daughter's 18; she can come through the fire service. Now I've got 3 girls. I got one that's 25 and another one that's 23, and I got one that's still home with me. But that's the age of the people we're dealing with. So why can't we use the same mindset, especially since it's a family type deal? And brother, why not let them be your firehouse kids? Now, I love my kids more than anything in the world. I've invested in them extensively over the last quarter of a century, but I don't have a problem putting my foot where it belongs whenever that needs to happen too, and then turn around and give them a hug and tell them I love them at the same time. But so why can't we have the same mentality? Raise them up, because that's truly what we need to be doing in a real mentorship and everything else. Just like I said before, be the person that cares. Let them know you care.
1,000%. I think
Instead of I come through the fire service when the new guy got berated on 24 hours the whole time he was there. We need to stop that. If it's still going on, guys, whoever's listening to this, if it's still going on around you, be the person to stop it. Be the person to treat somebody the right way. I'm not saying that we're getting softer or this or that. No, fires are burning hotter. They're burning faster. We've got to be more aggressive than what we used to be. But in the same aspect, we don't have to treat people like crap. We can treat them as a person and still hold high expectations that a job that's got to be done.
Without a doubt. Without it. I think a lot of that mentality of treating, we had a huge corporate push that happened in the fire service. We brought in these lawyers. Departments started hiring lawyers. They got accountants out. This massive corporate push, and I beat that up extensively on my platform. You want to hear more about that? Go over there, because I'm not going to get into all that.
Over there.
Actual details. Yeah. So there's so much of that's come in, and then also one thing I will touch on is the fact that you look around, and because of the growth, particularly in my area, but the growth of all these departments, man. When I came in, and I know when you came in, most of your captains were probably upper 30s to 40-year-old range. Okay. Now we got like 24-year-old captains right down the road for me. So you have a lot of, I think it's when you're looking at a guy that's like, say, 40, they're already kind of dad mode because they're 40 and they got a 21-year-old firefighter, 18-year-old firefighter. So they already are. There's a big separation in age there. I think that was a big portion. Another big issue is like, man, you got these dudes that are in officer positions, and they still live at home with their parents. They haven't lived any level of life. And that's what I think the big thing we're missing by going corporate mindset. And I understand the legal world, and I know more about the lawsuit world than what most people probably do.
No.
Because I nerd out on it, man. I nerd out. I read more case law than what people can even imagine. But the thing about it is, it is a firehouse. And you got to understand when you're hiring these people, 18-year-old, whatever, say, I use my daughter, for instance, and I use that really as an example because being a dad has genuinely opened my eyes on what I will tolerate and what I won't in a fire station, because I do ask myself, if it was my daughter, would this happen in a station to her? Or would I burn the whole sucker down? And there's a lot of things I'd burn the whole sucker down if they did it to my daughter. That's just the truth. But the thing is, you got to understand, say she went right now, went to fire school, hired on. She'd be leaving my home with me and my wife. She'd be leaving our home to go live in that firehouse. She's never even paid a car note before. She doesn't pay, she hasn't paid a cell phone bill before. She hasn't paid utilities before. Like, these people we're hiring in have no, what I would say, real experience in life as a whole. And so you're bringing these people in, you got to understand that you have to kind of be their coach, especially if you're their company officer, man. I can't tell you how many times guys come to us and they're asking about life stuff like, hey man, how do I rent a car? How do I open a bank account? Some of these people that we're hiring don't even have a bank account open. They got to go open a bank account before they can even get their direct deposit so they can get paid to work here. Like, you have to be that parental figure. And I think that's just lost because we've let too many of the corporate mindset, lawyer mindset, or people that are just too disconnected from what we actually still do and that we do live together. And, and I know this isn't part of the chalkboard, but something I want to throw out to everybody as a real consideration. We haven't even touched on the fist fight shirts. But, like, guys, you got to understand, any of you people that are married out there, or you got to, whatever, you can still live at home with your parents. I guarantee you don't like your mom and dad all the time. Your mom and dad do stuff that piss you off. My wife does stuff. I love my wife to death, but my wife does stuff that pisses me off. My kids do stuff that piss me off. So if you really think you can live with somebody in a house where you're sharing bathrooms, you're sharing mealtime, you're spending 24 to 48 hours, and they're never going to do anything that pisses you off, and you don't ever have to have a conversation or argue with them or yell at them or all that kind of stuff that happens with your own family, and it's not going to happen in a fire station, you're delusional. So we got to understand that, like, it really is a family. I hate that people have kind of made that cliche. They've made it a cliche rather than a reality, and I think that's kind of what you're alluding to, is people don't really take it serious anymore. Like, it is a family, and when we're bringing in a new firefighter, they're our kids. Regardless of how old they may be 35 years old, but they're a kid to the fire service. And so, they're like a toddler. We got to teach them to walk. We got to teach them, we got to potty train them. Like, we got to do all that stuff in the fire service way coming into our fire department. And I think that aspect is where we're missing on too many levels, because people, they're too caught up in resume building or whatever it is. They're forgetting that very, very basic concept. This shit is not hard, man.
Go to work and treat people right, basically. Invest
100%. 100%, man. To me, I really do think, I'm like, if this was my wife or my kids working here, would I allow that to happen? What did your mama tell you and your kid? Do unto others as you wish to be done unto you? That, I don't know. I mean, that just is it's a very simple concept.
So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start wrapping up with these two things right here, and then we'll give you the chalkboard. But the next two big things that are coming up for us, at least, is Wichita Hot. And we kind of already talked about that a little bit. It's coming up in October. I think it's 9th, 10th, and 11th, I believe. So they've got some hot classes coming up in Wichita. So get online, wichitahot.com. They got the Can Man class with Jess Rozinka. They got Mastering Your Craft. Got Dan Mishler, Nick White, Cameron Meyer. They got Bread and Butter Engine and Truck. They got Truck Rescue and Squad Company Operations. They got another class, the Working Engine and Truck, with BJ Parsons on it, and the Derby Fire Training Cadre. They got another class, Residential Search and Size Up, Heavy Extrication Essentials, Aggressive Fireground Survival, and fire service specific leadership essentials, and then they've got a lot of breakout lectures. I know mine's going to be a breakout lecture. I think yours is a breakout lecture. They don't have the name of those of all the breakout lectures that are going to be there, and then coming back the next week out of that, October 15th, 16th, and 17th is going to be Small Town Job Town. That's going to be in Hammond, Louisiana, October 15th, 16th, 17th. They're going to have lecture and hot classes. So going on there, you're going to have Chief Dennis Riley, Chief Eric Wheaton, Chief DJ Stone, and you going to Small Town?
No, I'm not on at Small Town this year. We taught there last year.
Okay. I'll be there. So Small Town Job Town, Hammond, Louisiana, going to be a fun little time. Throwing it out there. My birthday's the 16th. That's the day I should be presenting. So come spend my birthday with me. Hang out with me and Chief Riley and Eric Wheaton and DJ Stone and all of us. And old Big Sam going to be there. And
yeah. Man, that's a really good. Have you been there before?
I have not. No, it's my
it's a really good conference. It's real tight knit. It's a great group of guys. We're kind of partial to Louisiana. I love teaching in Louisiana. That's why I only live like 20 minutes from the Louisiana state line. So my wife is a Cajun. So I'm very, very partial about getting over there. And anytime we can do a training, and we do a good bit of regional trainings up and down throughout the state. So that's going to be a fun one. You're going to have a lot of fun there. The fire field was good. We taught there last year. We did our hands-on class, and I did my lecture there. So it was really good. I think they're bringing out basically all new names this year. I think everybody that's on that list is all pretty new, it's all different guys from last year. I know that. So that'll be really fun. Got Wichita Hot, and then I'm at Before the Bell in September.
Yep, September.
Okay. Yeah, man, we're I just in saying this, guys, like I've got a ton of events. Without looking at my calendar, I'll be lying to y'all. I can't keep them all straight because we have a bunch of classes that we do in Texas. Because actually in Texas, my full engine ops class is grant funded here. So basically, I think even at Small Town that weekend, I ended up booking a full class here in Texas for that weekend. So you can go to thirdalarmcowboys.com and be able to find all of our different events. I post them all on there, and it's been really, really busy. But yeah, there's some big ones coming up. The Before the Bell, Wichita Hot. Of course, you and I, we just had Smoky Mountain last month in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. So it's a lot of fun, man. It's a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, anybody listening, if you've got stuff coming up conference-wise or whatever with your Fools chapters or anything else that's going on, and I haven't found them yet, I try to do my best of trying to let everybody know about the conferences that are going on. If I'm missing them, let me know about it. I'll spread the word as much as I can. I want people to know about every training opportunity there is around. So if you, like I said, if you see something, share it to me. Tag me in it on your Facebook or whatever, so we can get it on our page and let more people know. Number of followers are going up. Thank you so much for everybody that joins in and follows us on the page. Let me work for you. Let me help you get more information so we can get training better and make a difference in the fire service. So here we go, Heath. The chalk shores. You had a message to write on the chalkboard that will stay there for eternity, that will benefit the fire service. What would your message be? PG version.
PG version. Hey, I think I've been pretty well behaved. Thank you, sir. No, man. There's so many different lessons. There's a lot of different lessons that are out there, guys. I think one of the biggest things, and a thing that is really destroying us in a lot of aspects. I just recently dropped an article basically saying the state of the fire service is radioactive. The biggest thing that I want people to start really, really, really understanding is your career is your career. Okay. You're in Eastern time, right? You're in a whole other part of the nation for me, man. And what you've done at your department that's Uncle Wayne's story at his department. Okay. What I've done in Harris County, what I've done in Deep East Texas, what I've done in Southeast Texas, That's my story. That's 100% what I've done with my career, and nobody can take it away.
Mm-hmm.
And the big thing that I want guys to understand, I think why there's so much hatred, there's so much just crap talking on Facebook and what, all the different things that go on. There's so much comparison and people not understanding that, like, just because you're doing it at your department doesn't mean that's the only way. Just because I'm doing it in my department doesn't mean it's the only way. But it doesn't make it wrong. And we're so radioactive because you can literally post, you post something on there talking about the training field is basically a place where you can make mistakes and you can do this. And that's more or less where you should be doing it, right? And you're always going to have the yahoos. And the big thing that I want people, it's just fresh on my mind, so I'm going to say that's my chalkboard moment for this episode. What I want people to understand is no matter what you say, no matter what you do, no matter who you are, there's always going to be somebody with some smart crap to say. And so if it's working for you, if it's making your life better, if it's making your family's life better, if it's making your department better, ultimately, if it's making yourself better, if you getting out there and you can't do CrossFit for 4 hours a day and clean and pressing 225 pounds over your head, but you're getting out here and doing some, like you're training to go walk in the middle of the mall with all the geriatrics walking around the parking lot, you're doing something for you. And so don't let anybody come on here and talk mess. I don't care, and me personally, I've dealt with some of the biggest platforms in the worldwide fire service at this point, want to have something to say about what Heath Meredith is doing. And at the end of the day, guys, it really doesn't matter because those guys are on the other end of the country. They can say whatever they want to say. They're not running calls with me. They've never made a fire with me. They've never done a workout with me. And to be quite frank, they've never even sat in a training class with me. So I'm not going to let these people on social media destroy what it is that I'm trying to do or the message I'm trying to give or the life I'm trying to live with my wife and kids. And so that's what I would highly encourage everybody, no matter who you are, understand that it's your life. You get one chance at this life. You get one career at this. Do it in what fulfills you. Do it in what makes your life better. And no matter what anybody's got to say about it, if they don't agree with it, then tell them to kick rocks. Like, it really doesn't matter because they're not going to be here anyway. And in wrapping that up, really, really, really understand you got guys that are in your corner, and then you got guys that no matter what, they'll never be in your corner. And I got you. We talked about DeCessa earlier. I got Mike. These are the guys, Frank Viscuso, shout out to him. But I've got you guys that no matter what, you don't have to agree with every single thing that I say and all my radical rants and everything like that. You don't have to agree with everything I say, but you understand, like, man, Heath's a good dude and he's trying to do something. He's got a wife that loves him, got kids that love him, all that kind of stuff. Every single other person out there, you got the same story. You got people that love you. You got, a department that you're trying to do good for. Do not let people get on there and destroy you just because they don't even know you. Keep the guys that support you and believe in what you're doing in the job and off the job, whatever. If it's just your wife and, if it's just your family that's supporting you, that's your network. What they say matters and their support matters, and all this other stuff, just ignore it because it really, at the end of the day, it doesn't amount to anything because those people aren't going to be there regardless. So that's kind of my message. And I hope that, guys can take that for what they will. But that's what I would tell people is just keep doing what you believe in and what's making your life better.
All right. Thank you so much for that. I'm proud of you. Guys,
hey, real quick, man, I'm gonna give a shameless plug too. Where's it at? There's my camera. I did it. I asked you earlier if you're a captain, man. I got the captain broke out. I'm gonna smoke it tonight in honor of you since you're a captain. But that's the Third Alarm Cowboys captain cigar right there. So
guys, if you want to get on Third Alarm Cowboys, find him on Google. He's got cool cigars, swag, everything else. He loves doing training. If you need to get him out to your department or whatever, hit him up. Email the best way to get a hold of you.
Yeah, thirdAlarmCowboys@gmail.com is the best way, especially for training anything. That's the only way I could track it. I get thousands of DMs and it on Facebook and Instagram, and it falls through. So yeah, email is the best way. Or you can go to thirdAlarmCowboys.com, and that has all the best that's how you can find out all my stuff is through the website. So
Okay. Well, everybody, thanks for joining in. Uh, like I said, I'm here to help you guys. If you want somebody on here, shoot me a message. Tell me who to find. I've got a list that everybody's sent to me. I'm starting to work on them. I got another one coming up. We're going to record in 2 more days. I'm ready to do that one. And but tell me who you want me to talk to. I'll reach out to them and see if we can make it happen. Until next time, stay safe, keep learning, and I'll see you the next time somebody steps up to the chalkboard.